Hey folks, it's Myron from the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. Joined again by Jesus Zaire from Rebel Life Media, man. How you been? How's it going?
Man, it's great. 2K18 is like a great year, man. I said it was going to be great before it came.
Uh-huh.
And it's here. It has been a great year, man. Just understanding and traveling and making things happen and, wrestling. I mean, when we look back on this year in wrestling, man, we're going to be like, man, that was a heck of a year. So, it's been a heck of a year professionally and as a fan as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Women's wrestling is huge, man. And it's getting bigger every single day. And where can we go to find great women's wrestling easily? Right there on Amazon Video. Go to your new project, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Before we even say that, you know how like you just said, women's wrestling is great, and it's crazy because these women are like changing history every day,
mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be interesting to see like 20 years from now, like if the next crop of women can keep the standard high, or if we're gonna be going, man, They sure did know how to wrestle back in the day, but now it's dropped off. I don't know what's wrong with these women. I don't know. And then the younger women are gonna be like, "You guys are a bunch of old haters. We're good."
Yeah. gonna be looking for Arn Anderson, today's Arn Anderson that people will be talking about 20 years from now.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. But I mean, it can definitely uphold itself. But yeah, let's go on and talk about my projects now.
Yes,
yes,
sir. Well, you got the new one now, the Pro Wrestling Mixtape.
Absolutely.
Now, tell me how you came up with this concept.
Okay, so I was talking to my wife and I was like, man, I might make a Rebel Mania. Because I've been to so many wrestling shows over the past couple years, and I just had all this content sitting up and putting out content from various promotions. Many promotions that I work with is like, yo, do your thing. We appreciate you for coming out. And then there is a promotion, maybe or two, that is just like, we only want you putting out this kind of content or whatever. So, I'm respectful. But at the same time, it's like, when I go to most of these places, I foot my own bill. So I have to figure out how to make my own money. So nonetheless, I was like, let me just put out a project with all these highlights, like kind of like ECW would do. ECW would put out a pretty much a highlight reel of their matches. Well, I was like, man, even better, because I put out a docuseries this year about women's football. And it's called Football for Life. And it was 5 episodes about women playing, traditional, football with, full uniforms. And because I also would cover lingerie football once upon a time. So, so I did traditional women's football video, and it was a docuseries, 5 episodes, and it's doing really well. So I was like, man, I could do the same thing with pro wrestling. But instead of having the full matches, we suit the needs of those who have like short attention spans and give them highlights, and a few interviews dropped in here and there, and just call it a pro wrestling mixtape. Because when you listen to like a mixtape back in the day, especially like in hip hop, you wouldn't hear full songs. You would hear like parts of songs, and then you would hear like a DJ scratching to another song. And it was like, you never heard a full song pretty much on a mixtape. So I was like, we could do the same thing with the pro wrestling. So that's why you have pro wrestling mixtape, and it's in short form. So like each episode is like 8 minutes or so, between 6 to 8 minutes. It's digestible, and it leaves you wanting more, and it doesn't take too much of your time. And there you go.
Yeah, I've watched a couple so far, and I like the fact that, if I was like sitting, waiting on my kid to get done from some activity, or to wait on pick somebody up, or I got a break at lunch, I could pop on and watch one of those. And I get solid wrestling, and that Missy Hyatt interview about Muda and the Mist was cool, man. I never thought about asking that.
Yeah, man. Like Muda's like my favorite, and I shout that from the mountaintop.
Uh,
Muda and Randy Savage. Those are the best two ever, in my opinion.
mhm.
When people say greatest wrestlers ever, I say no one's better than them. And Chris Jericho is like really is like becoming my GOAT day by day.
Yeah,
But
he's just making it. He's making his. He continues to make his place in the wrestling world every day.
absolutely. And when it's all said and done, I think right now, you put a gun in my head, I think he's the greatest WWE superstar of all time, because none has ever done what he's doing right now. But nonetheless, yeah, Great Muta, has always just been such a interesting character, because his run in the States was very mysterious. And it had a mystique to it. He never talked, and but he was just amazing. Even like the greatest wrestlers told great stories. He told great stories without speaking.
Yes,
Which most people can't do. So, yeah, I had to ask Missy Hyatt about that and what that mist was, because now everybody says it's food coloring and everything. But once upon a time, it was like nobody ever said what the mist was, and it was like, how do you do that? I would love to be able to, just, someone's bothering me, shoot out some green stuff and some red stuff, and watch them pee their pants. I love that, So, so yeah, that's just a interesting part of the pro wrestling mixtape. We throw in interviews here and there. Another episode has a piece of an interview with Booker T, where he's talking about how Doom with Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, which was for those who are too young or weren't born then, in the 1990s, you had a tag team called Doom and a tag team called Harlem Heat. And what they had in common is they were both two tag teams with both African American participants, which in WCW was rare.
Oh, definitely.
Where you had guys that were black that won, and that won convincingly. So, we talk about that, but, most of the pro wrestling mixtape is just action, action, action. But every now and then we drop some history in there or just share some thoughts. But yeah, first episode, we've got Sienna, aka Allison Kay, who most of you have just seen in the Mae Young Classic.
Definitely.
She's a former Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion. We got her taking on Britt Baker, who is seen on Monday Night Raw. And then we've got Paloma Star and Randy West, and they're fighting all over the arena at Heroes and Legends. Yep. And also the one you mentioned, Ryback versus Congo Kong, is in episode 2. And then you got Davian and Jordan Grace as well. And Jordan Grace is getting a lot of run these days. I'm hearing her everywhere.
I'm super stoked about her. She's supposed to be at WrestleCade. Now, I know she's injured right now. I'm hoping it's something she's going to be able to come back from quickly, because this is going to be my first chance to get to see her live, and I am really excited about that.
Yeah, I didn't know she was injured, and that's, kind of sad, but, that happens in life. I watched her this, was it winter that passed in January, and just saw she's like a Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yes.
Yes. That's like the best way I can describe her, like a little Vaderish, but very Bam Bam Bigelow. But, very strong, works very fast and hard. So I guess injuries can come along with that style. However, yeah, that's unfortunate, because she's just picking up so much steam right now.
Was on All In.
Yeah. But actually, maybe the injury is like the best thing, because it gives you time to just kind of, sit back, game plan, and come back fresh. So all the best to her on that. But yeah, definitely, she really raised a lot of eyebrows and is raising eyebrows this year. And then we got a third episode, which has Ruby Riott, who is back then known as Heidi Lovelace.
Yes.
So she's on there going against Veda Scott, who's another exciting person on the indie scene.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we got Booker T once again talking about Doom. We got Juice Jennings and Aaron Williams, who I'm not sure if many of you outside of the Midwest are hip to, but Juice Jennings is really, like I mentioned Chris Jericho, he kind of reminds me of a Jericho, Juice Jennings.
That's a good thing to remind you of,
he's his own guy. He's not trying to be like Jericho. Like, you got some wrestlers that's trying to be like somebody. Juice Jennings isn't trying to be like Jericho, but he does remind me of a Jericho, and he's like one of my favorite indie wrestlers because he's just always entertaining. He thinks the world is against him. He has his protest signs, justice for Juice, and every time I go to a show, I'm like, yeah, justice for Juice, darn it, because it's ridiculous. But yeah, him and Aaron Williams have a really nice rivalry, and so I've got footage of their I think it was like a Falls Count Anywhere match. They fought all over the arena as well. And so I got some clips from that. And then the final episode so far, it's just 4 episodes so far, but we're definitely going to add more. We've got Shayna Baszler and Mia Yim going at it. And this is, they're both have been in the Mae Young Classic. And of course, you guys know Shayna Baszler from NXT.
Yep. And apparently Mia Yim just signed a WWE contract.
Cool. Now, see, you get me educated, man, because I don't check out. Like, I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I'm so not into the gossip, so I don't know.
I watch the social media, and I don't say anything until I say 2 or 3 people posting it. Because anybody can post anything.
Yeah.
And it's like TMZ and the National Enquirer, wrestling, 90% of the news is bullshit. So you got to wait and make sure that it's a legit thing before you say it, or then you'll wind up looking like those folks. But yeah, I waited and saw, and yeah, everybody is reporting it now. So it's got to be legit, and that's somebody who really deserves it.
Absolutely. Mia Yim is just an amazing athlete in general. She played college volleyball and is just a competitive person, very proud of being a pro wrestler, very proud of all that she is. She's an activist for women that have been through for just domestic violence and period. She's an activist. So gotta love a person like that and root for a person like that. And when I met her, like the first movie that I did about pro wrestling, New Girls in Town, which is also on Amazon, she was just so helpful in that, and her story just stood out, and that's why she was pretty much the star of the film. Yeah. But yeah, her and Shayna Baszler, I've got some old footage of them and put them clips on this project, and then also 2 other indie guys that are doing their thing in the Midwest, Andrew Palace and Gannon Jones. They're also in there, and I'm gonna tell you, man, if you haven't seen episode 4, you watch big old Gannon Jones get up there and do that moonsault. It's pretty fun to see, and it's a lot of people that's doing the moonsault, but Gannon Jones's moonsault is beautiful. So that'll be on there as well.
Sweet.
But those are the first 4 episodes. We got episodes coming that'll have Jack Swagger, Nick Cutler, my guy Kingston, aka King, that's on Impact. I got a episode with him that's gonna be hilarious. Like, this dude, I don't know if you've seen the LAX rivalry that's on Impact Wrestling. King on the Indies is, he's great on Impact. I think they're really allowing him to really show his skills. He's a lot of wrestlers aren't good actors. I think he's a very good actor.
Oh, that's good.
Along with being a good wrestler, he's a good actor. And you can buy into the character that he's playing. And on the Indies, man, this guy's like, he's just total comedy, but just mean with it. He'll walk in, if it's a kid in the stands, and he'll call him fat, and talk about it if he's fat, he's a bad guy,
like that.
It's hilarious.
You don't get enough of heels like that, because those are, if you don't hate them, why do you want to see them lose?
Absolutely, man. Everybody can't be nice, and so he plays the mean role very well. It's just amazing. I told him he reminds me of like Adrian Adonis.
Yeah.
Like not so much the final years, but like 80, maybe 83, 84, like right before he turned into Flower Shop Adrian Adonis.
Yeah.
When he had like the leather jacket on and he was with Dick Murdoch, he reminds me of that Adrian Adonis, and he was like, when I met him, I told him that, he was just like, man, that's a great compliment. But those are the first 4 episodes. Like I said, we got episodes coming with the people I just mentioned, and I'm just gonna, keep working on it, keep adding to it. Definitely have to get to more shows because I've been traveling and working on other things. So I haven't been to an actual wrestling show since January, but I got enough footage from,
Oh,
the past
man.
couple years that, I can probably put out about maybe 2 seasons of this show before I go to another wrestling show. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
yeah.
God, I love going to shows. That's like my favorite thing to do. Even if I'm just talking to people at the show and I don't even pay that much attention to the wrestling, I go and just, because there's always a lot of people we know sitting around in the background and they're doing stuff, and I chit chat with them and, make friends, and people are always so nice to us when we go to shows, and I just have a blast. I like the way, though, you've shot the episodes I've watched where it is so up close that it looks like I'm there when I'm watching. That ringside shot you've got going on is awesome.
You know what? Thank you for that. All of this is it's just such an experiment for me. Just as a filmmaker, an indie filmmaker, you just learn as you go and you try new things and you try things that, maybe they'll work, maybe they won't. Mm-hmm. And if they don't work, you just try something else,
Yeah.
You don't get too caught up on anything that doesn't work, and anything that does work, you keep it and you keep using it. Working indie shows and different promotions have different rules,
Uh-huh.
and I've been welcome to promotions and filmed at promotions. And, one time it's like, oh yeah, do what you need to do. And then the next time you go back and it's, people can't see, so you need to move. And it's like, well, how can I film ringside if I don't stand ringside?
Yeah.
So you get those issues at different promotions, but typically, I talk to promoters beforehand, and they, I let them know, look, this is what I need to do. And they say, hey, get what you need to get. And, if you got a front row seat, people are going to be filming, so that's your problem. But
Yeah.
not to sound like a butthole, but and when it's all said and done, man, it's like we work hard to get this project out here to tell great stories and to give people great entertainment that they would like. Now, I say personally, like me, I'm a story person. Uh-huh. And this project is not, I don't think this project tells great stories, but I think it quenches your thirst. Like if you like action and you want to just get to the point, this is for you.
Yeah, it's something if you don't have a lot of time, and you can't watch a full episode of your favorite show, or you can't watch an hour-long wrestling show. You've got a few minutes, you just want to see some stuff. And I like it because I get to see talent I don't normally get to see here in Georgia. There's not I see that Northeast and Midwest talent that I don't get to see down here on a regular basis. And
absolutely.
That's awesome to get introduction, because then it makes like, well, if I like this, maybe I'll like that person. Maybe if they ever come near, I'll buy a ticket to that, or I'll be looking more videos and trying to find more stuff about them. And it's an introduction to people that I don't get to see, and I like that. I value that a lot.
And let me tell you, that's the beauty right now of being able to use a service like Amazon Video, uh-huh. and being able to use Amazon Prime, which is becoming more and more popular by the day. A couple years ago, most people, you say, "Oh, you can watch this on Amazon Video," they're looking at you like, "What?"
Yeah.
But it's a more common thing now. And I have talked to wrestlers behind the scenes about maximizing this platform. And this is very important, I think, for the indie wrestler to be able to own their footage, or be able to have rights to use their footage and create their own content and put out stuff digitally, as opposed to just selling DVDs at shows. And nothing's wrong with selling DVDs at shows, but a lot of people are using DVDs less and less.
Yeah, I looked at DVDs at a show Saturday, and I'm like, well, that's pretty cool, but I where did I put it? I don't have a DVD player in my living room right now.
Absolutely.
Because I use streaming services for everything.
Yeah, and I've talked to pro wrestlers behind the scenes over the years, and it's like, sometimes they're just not ready for what you're telling them.
Yeah.
But I think it's just so important, and that's why I do what I do, to kind of show people, hey, this is what you can do. Mm-hmm. So you look at like a lot of these wrestlers, like I think some of them are waiting till they get their big opportunity with WWE. But I say, that opportunity is never guaranteed. It may happen, it may not. Like you look like a guy like Jay Lethal, he's never been to WWE. That's like almost criminal, right? Yeah. But you could say maybe it's his choice. Maybe they just couldn't come to an agreement. So that opportunity may come and it may not come. However, you have the ability to put out content of your own self and put out your own story and own it. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine, like, what if before Kevin Owens got to the WWE, he had all his indie content and he put out his own documentaries on Amazon? Like, he'd make a killing. He'd make a killing right now off of that content that he would own himself.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So all these wrestlers could pull this off. It's just like when I talk to them about it, they go, well, the promotion, we don't own the content from the promotion. And I think that what has to be done, excuse me, is I just listened to an interview that Samoa Joe did with Sam Roberts. Uh-huh. And Samoa Joe was like, yo, I'm in the wrestling business. And he's talking about how he, demands a certain price, and he thinks that wrestlers should stick to things like that. If you know your worth, demand that price, and don't cheat yourself. Well, I say understand how to monetize any way you can, not just off of T-shirts, because that's what we do. Like we see somebody succeed at one thing, and then everybody starts doing the same thing. And that's how it's going to be with this video stuff. Once people get it, everybody's going to start doing the same thing, and then something else is going to come along. Yep. But I say that if a wrestling promotion, if an indie wrestling promotion says, well, our content, we own it, you negotiate something with them where you say, you know what? Okay, I get it. You own your content. However, allow me to use parts of the content. Let's say you selling the whole match. Let me use part of a match. I won't use the finish. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But let me use my highlights at least, or, to tell my story, or let me just have like a match. And, if I wrestle for you 6 times or 4 times, I get 1 match, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I get to put it out myself. You negotiate some kind of thing, because too many wrestlers don't own the rights to their matches, so they can't put them up on their YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? They can't, you know what I'm saying? Like they can't do anything. And it's like, no, that makes no sense at all, that you can't even use clips. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. And down here, most of the shows I go to aren't taped. And if they are taped, they're taped by one of the wrestlers' wives or girlfriends are taping them for them. And I've never heard anybody say anything about rights as far as films. I don't even think that's discovered, because if anybody tapes it, it best goes up on a YouTube channel somewhere. I've seen people selling content, but they don't get in with somebody who's reliable about generating content that monetization is easy to do and where people can actually find it. I've looked at these streaming services where I haven't even been able to make the video I purchased download so I could watch it. But when you put stuff on Amazon like that, that's like the most reliable service there is. Yeah. I like it better than Netflix for most of my viewing. I use it for just about all my shows and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon's getting bigger and better with things as the years go by, as the months go by. But yeah, definitely, like, from what you're saying, that's unique that a lot of people aren't filming their shows at all. Yeah. But from the shows that I've been to, which are mostly Midwestern shows and some East Coast shows, each promotion usually has someone filming, usually. And, like I said, some of them, they're like, dude, they tell me, do whatever you want to do, because what I do is I promote while I'm there. I send out tweets. I send out Instagram videos. I send out clips during the show of what's going on. I continue the life of the show after it goes on. So that's like, yo, that's my trade to you. Allow me to do what I do. Yeah. But in many cases, like I said, I've talked to high profile wrestlers who you see on TV every week now. when they were in the indies and they would tell me, well, no, I don't own any of the rights to these matches, and the promotions won't allow me to share them because it's theirs. And, and I get it. And you go into promotions, they have websites where they sell their DVDs. And I totally get it. I totally get it. You got to make your money. However, allow these wrestlers to use their content to help themselves. It's just the new way of the world. You know what I'm saying? And figure out some kind of way to make that happen. I'm not saying give away your whole show, but, allow these wrestlers to help themselves. And the wrestlers have to want to help themselves too, because I've talked to wrestlers too that they're, I throw the idea at them and they look at me like, what are you talking about, dude? Get out of my face, because it's not.
I've dealt with that too.
It's not normal.
Well, it's like here, you can. Here's footage that you don't even have to ask to use. It's just up on a YouTube somewhere that you can tag yourself in and repost it on Facebook. It's you wrestling. People, even if, it's footage that people can see, and it's like, this is me. This is what I look like wrestling. This is where I'll be. You can watch this, and if you like it, it's an easy way to promote myself. So you could decide if you want to buy a ticket, or you could see if somebody would want to book me. And people are really, they don't embrace digital media, and they don't embrace social media the way they should, because it's like, I'm gonna put my name on a poster. Mm-hmm. Posters are not what they used to be. And
look, the crazy thing is too that you'll see people, the fans will film things.
Yes. And
it's like, yo, if the fan. You could go to any indie wrestling show, sit in the stands and press record.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And post it online. And for the most part, no one's going to say anything. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if fans are going to do it, why not let the wrestlers? I've even talked to wrestlers saying, you know what? This is what I'll do for you. You got a show. I'll travel to the show. You ain't even got to pay me. I'll travel to the show. I will film your match. And I'll go to another show and film your match, and we can put a whole project together, and I'll show you how to do this yourself. And they'll say, well, the promoter won't allow us to do this. I'm like, they won't allow you to have your own cameraman? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they have a national TV deal or something. But, let's just keep it like this, man. Some promotions and some people are where they are because they choose to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they are. Like, they choose to be what they are. And so the promotions that don't want that extra, you never know who's going to see what.
Yeah.
So if I had a promotion, if I had people that wanted to cover it, I'd be like, man, come on in, because you never know who's going to be who and who's going to see what. Mm-hmm. When I met Heidi Lovelace, I didn't know she was going to turn into Ruby Riott.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a clue. And she was just a great person that always talked to me. She was busy, but she would set aside time and just would, be friendly and share time with me. And I appreciate that. And that's why I always say you just never know who's going to be who. Mm-hmm. You never know who's going to be where. Yeah. So always just have that open door for these people that are the people that want to do things. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes when people see you as productive, they get intimidated by that. And they say, oh, you making money. And they want to close you off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's something that winners, I talk often about winners. Winners win, losers lose. And winners aren't afraid to work with other winners.
Yeah, because if somebody else is making money, you want to be like, let me do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Please tell me, give me a good idea. That would help me. And
absolutely,
there's that I do it this way mentality in a lot of things. Wrestling is probably the most predominant place where you see that, where this is how we do it, and that's all it is. It's mm-hmm. like that's the only. There's no question. There's no concept of expanding or trying different things. I'm working with a guy right now. I did an episode with him that's going to drop the day after we record this, and he's starting a promotion where they're going to, from the start, tape everything like it was going on television. From the first day. And then they're going to turn around and edit it and drop them on Facebook in between shows to keep people thinking about their product and wanting, and current on what's going on and wanting to go to the next show. So they're going to do little episode things, and nobody else is doing that at all. Nobody around me, and there's promotions all over because we're right outside Atlanta, so it's a hotbed of everything as far as production in the state. It's like a small Hollywood here.
Yeah,
and,
Atlanta is like the showbiz capital east of the Mississippi. Yeah. For real.
And it's also got a lot of great wrestling promotions, and you would think somewhere those people would cross. I've seen some people. I've seen some folks from Hollywood doing little wrestling things in Atlanta, but they were really Hollywood, and they weren't really wrestling. So they need like somebody to translate.
Okay. Yeah.
Because sometimes it doesn't make sense to people doing one thing. Wrestling's different. I don't understand the business. Everybody's like, well, what about the business? I said, I'm not in the business. I'm on the outside. Okay. I deal with people in the wrestling business, but I'm not in the wrestling business because I can't comprehend it.
Well, let me tell you this. Don't sell yourself short. Like, I feel like if you're doing the podcasting thing, a lot of podcasters say, "Oh, we're not in the business," but you are, because this is a new frontier. You know what I'm saying? It's a new part of the business that 15 years ago it didn't exist, but it exists now, and it's very vital. Pro wrestling podcasts right now are very vital to the business because it's allowing people to peek inside and see how money is being made, see how matches are being made, hear how things were built 40, 50 years ago, and be able to build things today, based off of those foundations. So it is a part of the business. It's just not like a lot of times we don't feel comfortable in saying that because we want to be respectful to the craft.
Yeah.
But it's news, what I'm saying? It's telling people and sharing people with, how things work and how things are successful or maybe unsuccessful. This show even I just feel like it's all about enlightening people on just different opportunities and different ways to monetize off of what you do, whether you be a filmmaker, whether you be a wrestler or whatever, or a promoter. It's crazy because earlier this year, when you interviewed me about going to Capital Wrestling Alliance and filming their first event, I went to that event on my own. I paid for everything on my own, and I told them I'll figure out how to make money on my own. And we put out the documentary, which helps them in awareness. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have to pay me for that. And it was for sale exclusively. Now people can watch it on Prime for free. But I can monetize off of that. But also I put up clips on YouTube of the videos that I shot. And crazy thing, like, you just never know what's going to hit. I got a video of Davian putting a sleeper hold on Jordan Grace. It's got 1.6 million views.
Wow.
Yeah. And a few other videos got, 200,000 views here, 100,000 views there. And a lot of the views came from the Middle East, as crazy as it sounds.
You never know what those folks over there are like. That's the oddest thing, because, they're putting those big wrestling shows on in Saudi Arabia. They've got to be hot for wrestling over there.
It's new to them. They haven't seen, some of this. So it's like, wow, this is amazing. Like, they do this, It's like a whole new world to them. So, but you just never know what's going to hit. And if you are an indie promotion, you have to maximize all platforms, and you have to be open to allowing people who are smart to figure out how to help you and help themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I just think it's just so much out here for everybody. Yeah. And you have to just be open to it and not worry about, somebody's getting over on me. Man, figure out how to get over too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we play so much defense that we don't play offense sometimes.
Oh, you're right. You're definitely right. I had a really unique talk with a guy, a wrestler from the 80s at a show Saturday. And it was like, I don't know nothing about what went on in wrestling in the 80s, except from what I watched, when I was younger. but he knows all about it. But he doesn't know anything about producing, recording, social media. So I have something he could use, and he has something I could use, and together we could make money.
Right.
But alone we can't.
Right.
So it's like, when I offer somebody and talk to somebody, it's like, I ain't trying to get your money, but I can help you, and you can help me, and together we can make money, more money than we could ever make alone. And some folks just they don't want to listen to stuff like that. But it's just the way it is.
The bottom line, my moniker of 2K18 2018 is winners only, man. Yeah. Winners only. Like winners when you talk to them within the first 6-7 words that they speak. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Winners win, losers lose. Some people they're not trying to win. They're not winning at all, and they don't care about winning, and leave those people alone. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy on people who don't understand how to win and are not trying to win, because they're going to waste your time. I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying they're going to waste your time. So
I get exactly what you're saying there, 100%. Man.
There are people out here who are working hard, who figure it out. Find those people, work with those people, and you will succeed. And that's me, man. And I do a lot of this on my own as much as I can. And, you definitely need help. I need people who are open and allowing me to work with them. I actually, the Nick Cutler, I mentioned Nick Cutler and Jack Swagger. I filmed an entire bit on that match that they had, where we talked to Nick Cutler prior to the match and after the match. And if I want to, I could put out this whole piece that'll probably be like maybe 25, 30 minutes. It'll be pretty much like a short documentary about that experience for him. Mm-hmm. And I haven't put it out yet. I thought I would have put it out by now, but I haven't put it out yet. But just those types of things where wrestlers see, you know what? I see what you're doing. Yeah, you can use me to do this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. So get with those people, get with those wrestlers who get it. It's crazy because sometimes you just get in contact with certain performers who they're kind of nervous, because they don't know, if I put this out, what would WWE think? Which, I mean, I get it. But I just feel like you got to kind of be like we mentioned Chris Jericho, he just does what he wants.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's had that thought, well, what does Vince McMahon think? I'm sure he's had that thought, but at the same time, he's responsible for his career. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Vince McMahon didn't advise him on how to start Fozzy and Vince McMahon, I mean, according to what I've heard, which I don't like to gossip, but according to what I've heard, it's he wanted to include WWE on the cruise.
Yeah.
The Chris Jericho cruise that he has going on. And they didn't want to be a part of it. So did he say, oh, well, WWE won't like this, so I'm not going to do the cruise? Nah, I'm going to use who wants to be on a cruise, and I'm going to win anyway.
And he got some pretty big
You know what I'm saying?
And he,
absolutely.
The thing about those guys, the names he got, their fans will pay anything to go anywhere to see those guys. They're not lukewarm. Yes. They are 100% all in on those guys, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yes, and that's the key. Win anyway. It's not just one way to win. It's crazy because you can tell who winners are in life. When the NBA season starts and everybody just goes, oh, the Warriors are going to win. It's no point of watching. Those type of people, they're not winners. Yeah. For the most part. They're not winners for the most part, because it takes for them to see something, for them to believe something, as opposed to, I remember, a few years back, maybe 7-8 years ago, when the Lakers, they had Kobe, Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, and everybody just gave them the championship. And they didn't win anything. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And you sit there and you go, you know what? You can't just say, oh, it's over, hands up. No, you got to fight to get what you want. You have to take what you want. And, I know this is like the Chris Jericho love fest right now.
Well, I do it all the time, man, because I admire that guy.
He is he's just setting the standard to what you can do as a person in general. Right? Like, it's not even just about wrestling. As a person, you have to, like the song says, break the walls down. You can't just be trapped.
Yeah.
And that's what it is in real life. You got people who go to jobs they hate every single day because they've got benefits. Mm-hmm. And they're talented, and they could probably be millionaires if they struck out on their own. But they're afraid to do so, and they go every day to a job that they hate. You know what I'm saying? Where you got this guy that says, you know what, I'm gonna grow up in Winnipeg. I'm gonna leave Winnipeg, become a pro wrestler. Everyone's laughing at me. He said people in his church laughed at him when he told him he was gonna be a pro wrestler. He went and he became a pro wrestler. He travels the world. He says, you know what, I've always wanted to be a rock star. And you got people. This is the crazy thing too. These podcasters, they all know everything. And
oh yeah, trust me. That's one thing about this field. It is. There are more experts involved in podcasting than anywhere on the face of this earth right now.
Listen, it is so amazing to sit back and listen to these shows. I'm not a hate watcher and a hate listener, but it's so amazing that, like, you listen to a show with some of the biggest names and some of the names that you've never heard. Yeah. And when Jericho said he was going to take on Kenny Omega, at first, what did so many of the podcasters say? I don't know if he can keep up with Kenny Omega. I don't know. I don't know. You know, Kenny Omega's the best, and Jericho, he isn't the same anymore. He's. It's not like it's 1996. He's not. I don't know. Like, that's just what you heard. And I'm sitting there going, "Are you crazy?" Like, every time this dude comes back, he figures it out every single time. Mm-hmm. Like, it might take longer sometimes than others, but every time he comes back, he figures out a way to win people over every single time. Mm-hmm. And you're going to tell me that he can't go and have a good match with Kenny Omega because he sings in Fozzy now. You know, but that's the limited capacity that a lot of people work with. And then when he does it, it's, oh yeah, man, Chris Jericho's amazing. He's like, idiot. you just said he can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And yeah, it's just funny to me to see it. And then, you know, you see him go to All In and pull that off. This guy is, once again, it's not just so much about worshiping Chris Jericho, but it's the point of using him as an example. Yeah. That in life, you can do what you choose to do.
The thing is, he did in my opinion, the best Jericho promos of all time were before that Kenny Omega match. Because he hit
they're up there. On. They're up there. They are up there.
I gotta love it. And the guy continually reinvents himself. He reinvents himself and gives you a reason to watch.
Yes, and he totally. That's part of that. That's part of that freedom that he has. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Everybody isn't free like that. Like, I look at guys. There are guys in the WWE right now who we know, and I'm not going to say their names, but we know they're there, and we know they could be doing more.
Yeah.
But they've decided to not do more, and that's their business. That's fine. But when you look at things as a person, like me personally, I'm like, man, you know, I've been able to make money off of my content.
Yeah.
I've been able to travel around the country and even in Canada with my work and being able to still pay my bills and being able to look and see money going into my bank account while I'm sleeping based off of my work. I've been able to do that. Why? Because I said, you know what? I ain't working for nobody else anymore. I'm going to do this.
That's all.
And it's I know it takes courage, and everybody isn't cut out for it. And I'm not telling everybody to do it, but for those of us who want to, and for those of us who feel like I can do more, go do it. You know what I'm saying? And if it doesn't work, okay. You know what I'm saying? But definitely, like, look at examples of people, you know, a Chris Jericho, and then, like, in general, like music, like, I'm a big Prince fan. So he's another person who struck out against an industry that was doing things one way.
Yeah, definitely.
And he said in the 1990s, he started selling music on the internet when the internet was brand new. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And he was doing what people do now then, and people called him crazy for it. and they're going to call you crazy for quitting your job or for, whatever you choose to do that's different. You're going to get called all sorts of names, but you keep going and you make something great out of it. And all of anybody involved in the pro wrestling industry, you're unique anyway, because it's strange. Like, it's not normal to be a pro wrestler or to be a promoter or to be a ring announcer in a pro wrestling promotion. Like, that's a unique job. But if you got the balls enough to pull this off, man, go all the way with it. Go all the way with it and do what you can, because we keep one foot on land and one foot on water, and you'll never swim that way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, being able to do something creative to me is the best way to express yourself and get fulfillment in your career. And I'm finding that the more and more we work on this podcast, that nothing brings me happiness as work, or project or work-wise, as much as creating and doing stuff like this on my own, and going out there and meeting people and talking to people and pushing the stuff and coming up with ideas and thinking. It's if I could have made this decision 20 years ago, man, I could just imagine where I'd have been by now. It's crazy that I didn't even know about something like this existed. Well, it didn't exist 20 years ago, so that is one point.
No, it didn't.
But man,
it didn't exist, and I say that, like, for people that say things like that too. Like, I said that last night because I created something with a friend. We're gonna be doing something creatively, and I was like, man, why didn't I do this last year? And I said, you know what, it wasn't time for it. Yeah. Like, you figure it out when it's time. And so for those people that aren't ready, they just aren't ready. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you just maximize what you're doing right now. Enjoy that right now. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys and all the other people that's just doing what they want to do with the podcasting or whatever, it's just so much uncharted territory.
Well, you have to be you have to be on the front line of innovation, because somebody else will pass you if you're not.
Yeah, every day. Every day. But even if you're not on the front line, but you are where you are, like, just figure it out where you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, be the best of what you do where you are, and you'll be good. Because I can't sit here and tell your podcast listeners, oh, I'm the greatest cinematographer in the world. I'm not. Okay? I'm not. But I know that what I do, I'm the best at it. Like, that's my feeling everywhere I go. I don't think anyone's better than me at what I do. Mm-hmm. And what I do is what I do. Like, it's in my mind, and it's not in yours. You see what I'm saying? So how could you be better at it? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like, utilize what you do and find other people's strengths, utilize their strengths, and you'll make some great projects and you'll come up with some great things. That's the deal with all of this, man. And that's what I hope, people get, man. Just understand how to monetize, understand, YouTube, Google, they'll change the rules on you in a heartbeat, but that's okay. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Figure it out. I had a lot of people that once the rules changed on YouTube at the beginning of the year, they quit.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, definitely. Well, I can't make money this way anymore, so I can't. I can't get 1,000 subscribers. You know what I'm saying? I got almost 80,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And this is coming from somebody that probably had like 2,000 at the beginning of 2017. Mm-hmm. Well, I think I only had about how to get some subscribers.
and actually, let me not even like lie that I figured it out. I just did the work. Uh-huh. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't figure anything out. I just did the work. Uh-huh. And that's why I tell people, sometimes you're going to figure things out. I figured out how to make a certain amount of money per month. Mm-hmm. I figured that out. And once I figured it out, then YouTube started changing rules on me. But, but at the same time, sometimes you don't figure things out. You just work. Yeah. And things happen. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You work and it's like, okay, I've planted all these crops in this field. Something's got to grow. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then once you might not understand. Like I don't understand how water, you plant a seed and the seed grows into something. I don't get that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, so how does a seed turn into tomato vine? Like, it makes no sense, right? But it happens that way. And so you say, okay, well, this is how I'm going to eat. So let's start planting these seeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what people got to start planting seeds, and they got to start letting them grow, and they got to start, tilling to the land and stop watching TV. Like, okay, you watch TV, that's fine. Have your escape, but don't expect to become a millionaire off your content if you're not doing millionaire things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what's that dude? Gary Vee always says, don't expect extraordinary things if you're not doing extraordinary things. So that's the key. It's like, you really have to sacrifice your time, your mental capacity. You can't do what normal people do. Yeah. I haven't been to the movie theater in years, man. I don't even go to the movies. I make movies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. so I'm gonna go see the Queen movie. Yeah. That's coming out, I think, in November, and I think the Creed sequel is coming out. Those are gonna be like the first movies I've seen since like 2016. So
yeah, now that you mentioned it, since we've been doing the podcast, me and Nick used to go to every single Marvel movie on opening night. I think we're like 6 behind.
Ouch!
We're not even going, and I'm not even watching them. I haven't even seen half of them. Because where do I go on Saturday nights? If you ask my girlfriend where I go on Saturday night, she's going to tell you wrestling. Don't you ever come home? It's like, well, I'm trying to do something here. So I'll be able to stay at home more with you and not have to go to work the rest of the time.
That's what it takes, man. That's what it takes. It takes sacrifice. My wife just wrote a book. Uh-huh. You know what I'm saying? Just put it out herself.
Oh, wow.
And she had to understand, and she's been doing really good with it, selling it and everything. And she understands now what I've been doing over the years, because she's had to shut herself off and focus on her craft. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's not easy to do it, but it's necessary. Mm-hmm. So, you sit there, you missing the Marvel movies, but those Marvel people, they got their money. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, they got my money anyway, because I'll watch it somewhere else. I'll try to catch it. I'll try to catch it on Amazon, for instance, because that's always there. I can always catch stuff on Amazon. That's like we were saying earlier. It's the best way to watch stuff. You catch it when you can catch it. You catch it at your time. It's convenient. It's easy. Yes, it's the best way to do it.
Absolutely. And if you're out there, if you're making movies, or if you got an idea, TV shows or whatever, utilize Amazon. It is like a lot of people don't know, like they think that YouTube is the only way to make money. Amazon is more complicated or whatever, but it's worth it if you figure it out. And it helps you a lot more with your credibility. It helps you a lot more, like if just getting in people's homes, like if people are just sitting watching TV or whatever, it's just a great thing to utilize. It is like Netflix isn't indie film friendly. It's just not. Maybe one day it will be, maybe not. But Amazon is. It's indie film friendly and it's major film friendly. Mm-hmm. So I have 32 titles as we speak on Amazon right now.
That's awesome, man.
The first thing we talked about was it New Girls in Town? Was that the first thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I first put that film up, that was the first film I ever put up on Amazon. Uh-huh. That was number 1. And I put that up in 2016. And since then, it was June 2016. So since then, I've got 32 titles up. And by the end of this week, I should have 34.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's not just all wrestling stuff. I got a whole bunch of stuff in there. But yeah, that's the deal. Like, that's what it takes to make this happen, man. You can't quit your job and just have one hit movie. Oh yeah. like maybe that'll happen for you. That's great. But typically you got to have multiple hits. You got to have multiple projects that work. I told you I had a video that had 1.8 million views. That's not the only video I have that has over 1 million views. it takes a whole lot
Yeah.
to be able to keep the momentum going and be able to make some money off of things. But once you do the work, and don't worry about the numbers. Once you do the work, you're able to show it to people and say, you know what, this is what I do. And they open doors for you. You know what I'm saying? They allow you to do things. They invite you on their podcast, to talk about the work or whatever. Yeah. And that's what this is about. And I have to thank you publicly. Like, you've been so supporting.
I really like to have you on, because not only do I get knowledge about what you're doing, I get inspiration from you. Because you are the hustler. You are the guy that's got the inspiration to keep moving in the right direction. And when I get, like you said, around winners, when I get around people like you that are winners, that are going forward, I feel better about what I'm doing, and I get inspired to work harder or come up with new ideas. And
that's what it's about, man.
It's like inspirational speakers. You may not need what they're saying at the time, but you might pick up something that can help you down the road. And if I can pick up one little thing from talking to you that helps me down the road, it's more than worth anything I could do to help you to me. It's good for me as a person to learn new things. And Absolutely. It's inspirational to see somebody going out there and making it on their own and innovating and creating content that's paying their bills. That's awesome.
Yo, I appreciate that, and just thank you, man, because we need shows like this to help out everybody. It's a ton of pro wrestling shows out here, and so it's like after a while you can make your loops and go around. You can
only talk to so many wrestlers, even on a wrestling show,
Right. And these shows are just very important. They're very important though, because they do different things for people. They quench your, it's crazy because I'll be listening to a wrestling show and my wife will be like, oh, you listening to wrestling or you're watching wrestling. And it's deeper than just the art of wrestling.
Yeah.
I always tell people wrestling has a lot of lessons in it. Mm-hmm. And you can listen to people's stories. This weekend I've been like just playing in the background while I work or while I sleep, the Legends of Wrestling shows that were big on the on-demand thing back in the day, where they have them on the network now. And so I play those and I just listen to the stories. And I listen to podcasts and I listen to the stories. Mm-hmm. I check out Jericho's podcast and he'll be talking to like a rock band on how they made it.
Yeah.
I listen to success. I listen to winners. I listen to people who have made it in their craft and hear how they made it. Mm-hmm. And I apply that to my life. That's what I take in. Mm-hmm. So it's not just, oh, look at that amazing move. I don't care about that amazing move, actually.
I like the story,
Yeah, it's a story. It's something behind what you're seeing. And that's where the winning is. Yeah. The effect is always visual, but the cause, like what's putting this all together, that's never really visual on the surface. You got to dig deep and you got to look within. And when you dig deep and you see it, that's where the secret of success is. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Behind what it took to get there. Yeah. So yeah, that's what this is about. That's what these shows are about for the most part, is that there's something behind the story. And even like, it's crazy because like, it's even a lot of these podcasters doing the shows, they don't even understand the power that they have to be able to share great stories, to be able to just get this word out. Mm-hmm.
I think podcasters focus too much on downloads, and downloads are great, but they're not the essential thing what you're doing. Say if I bring on a wrestler or a promoter, my goal isn't to get the most downloads. My goal is to make an impact on selling them tickets. Because if I sell them tickets, they're going to realize I can do things for them, and they're going to want to work with me more. They're going to want to do stuff down the road. And you got to focus on making the impact you make, not as much the direct downloads or the other little things that you'd metric yourself on to find out how good you're doing. But you have to focus on what I can do impact wise. And people lose track of stuff like that.
Yeah, I think especially if you're new, I wouldn't sweat on downloads at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I would just make a great show, and I just was having this conversation last night once again, just with someone building a company. It's like, man, they were just like, sometimes it's discouraging because you have these great ideas and nobody cares. And it's like, yo, don't sweat that. And it's hard for a person to take that in at first, especially when you feel like you're so good at what you do. Why isn't anybody watching, or why isn't anybody looking or listening? Don't sweat it. Just be great at what you do. Continue being great at what you do, and it's going to work out as long as you stay committed to what you do and you believe in you. It's going to show. And if it doesn't matter if you have the biggest show in the world, like as far as views, as long as it gets to the people that it needs to get to. Ron Howard, the filmmaker, he said something about one of the movies he made, how it didn't, he's made a lot of hit movies, but then he's had movies that weren't quote unquote hits. But what he said was, he was like, your art is going to find the people it needs to find. It's going to find its audience. And you can't choose your audience. Your audience chooses you. And if you don't have, 200,000 downloads or whatever you want, it's probably, first of all, give it time. But second of all, you got to grow to that. You have to grow to make people want to listen to you. It's not a science, but it's something there that makes people gravitate to greatness. And it's like making a hit record. You know what I'm saying? When I have a hit video on YouTube, I almost always know it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't. Sometimes some things just blow up and just go, wow, people like that. But I've had moments where I'm like, man, people gonna watch this, and boom. Yeah. Like my most popular video just went over 9 million views. Wow. But the minute I clicked on the mouse, I was like, this is a hit. Well,
I always tell myself Triple H is listening. Okay, that's my thing. And we'll get a download, and you can map the download. Oh, we got a download in Connecticut. I'm like, yeah, that's Triple H.
Triple H is listening.
Because Triple H is listening. Because if I'm writing if I'm trying to make stuff that I know he would like, I'm making stuff for the right person.
Triple H is listening.
Yes.
And you know what? That's real.
Yeah.
Like, it's as crazy as this may sound to people, and those who don't get it, they just don't get it. But when you say things, it doesn't have to be today.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He may be listening next year. He may be listening next week, but he's listening.
Yeah.
Understand?
I'm going to convince myself that I'm going to be making content for him one day.
Yeah.
If I want to do this. If I want to be successful, that's who I need to pitch to. He's the biggest guy in the industry right now. So
that's not a bad way of looking at things, man. It's not a bad way of looking at things, man. And at the same time, somebody Triple H knows may be listening. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just the key, man. Like if that's what you're working towards, it's all possible.
Yeah, because I've gone to shows and stuff and ran into either big time wrestlers or people that I knew like were legends 40 years ago, and when they say, "Oh, I listened to your episode," I'm like, "Oh my God, it's coming true." I'm getting there. I'm working my way up. If that guy listened to something I did, that means I'm doing something right. So I have to keep doing that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Keep believing in it, man.
Telling yourself that you're the best podcast out there, or you're the best filmmaker. And people will come to you eventually.
And it's just a belief, like for real. Like this before, and I know we've been on here a while, and you probably got to go, but like it's so real. Another thing that I do, I film for a company in Florida sometimes, and we film kids playing basketball. And so it's like a recruiting service. They have recruiting services around the country. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you guys one thing: recruiting services, it could be as worked as wrestling. Okay, you got services that'll see a kid play one time and go, "Oh, this kid is the most amazing player in the world." And it's like you only seen him play once, So the partner that I work with, I'm like, okay, listen, we have to create something that's unique because there are about 5 or 10 other outlets that are doing the same event that we're doing today. And before we leave out the car, I say, you know what? We're the best. When we walk in here, we're better than everybody else. No one can do what we do. Yeah. And I believe it. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, we're doing things where we're getting more viewers than everybody. We're getting, you know what I'm saying? Like we're creating things on the spot because this creative energy is inside of us and it's willing us as we go. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, you got people hiring us to cover this event and cover that event. You got everybody seeing our work instantly because it's like, yo, you guys are the best because you're doing what nobody else is doing. Mm-hmm. And you're working at a pace that no one else can keep up with because they don't even know how to work it because you just created it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing, that whatever is inside of you, that's where winning starts. It starts inside of you. You got to win before you start. You can't get somewhere and say, oh, I hope I win. No, you win before you start. Mm-hmm. Winners win before they get there. Yeah. You know,
and my thing is winners never tell themselves they can't do something.
Absolutely.
You know, you can't say, oh, I can't do that and expect to succeed at anything. Mm-hmm. You have to just say, okay, I'm going to do that. I don't know how or why or when I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make it happen. And it's that stubbornness. It's almost like crazy maniacal, but it's that stubbornness. That's why I love people like Larry Bird, you know, people like that, where you look at this guy. I constantly bring up Larry Bird. My son, I talk about Larry Bird to him all the time. I'll be like, Larry Joe Bird. he's like 10 years old. He knows who Larry Bird is because I constantly talk about him because I use him as a reference too. So I'm like, look at this dude. He's slow. He can't jump. You know what I'm saying? But he had something inside of him where it's just like, you know what? I'm really good at this, and I'm going to be the best out here. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to figure out how to win. Yeah, Dominique Wilkins, you're faster than me, but I got something in my brain where I know something that you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a step ahead of you, dude. Yep. I'm a step ahead of everybody out here. And even though I'm not the fastest guy out here, and I'm not, you know, I may not have the most equipment, I may not have the most money, but I'm going to figure out how to win. I'm going to figure out how to when I did Capital Wrestling Alliance, I had an event in Las Vegas a day before. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna figure out. I'm gonna fly to Las Vegas, then I'm gonna fly back home 18 hours later. Then I'm gonna drive all the way from Ohio to Delaware, and I'm gonna be in 3 time zones in 2 days. Yeah. And I'm gonna figure out how to do this, and I'm gonna make my money back, and we're gonna be all good. Boom. And people go, "How'd you do that?" I just did it. Yeah. That's how it happened. You gotta know how you did it. You just did it. I just did it. There is no how. There's no how. I just did it. I didn't go, oh, what am I going to do? No, just make it happen, dude. You want it to happen, make it happen. Mm-hmm. And don't make no excuses. But once again, can't thank you enough. And everybody
I'm glad to have you on, man.
Everybody out there, check out the Pro Wrestling Mixtape. We don't have a lot of episodes. I'm gonna give you more. I got 4 right now, you know, in honor of the 4 horsemen, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the first 4 episodes are here. We're going to have maybe 6 episodes in total, or maybe 8 for the first season. So maybe I'll add 2 more or 4 more. And then the second season, I think I'll have 10 episodes. Yeah. But yeah, we're doing the first season now. It'll be 4 episodes as of now. We'll add some more real soon. Pay attention to Twitter, Rebel Life Media. That's my Twitter handle. But thank you for your support. Thank everybody else out there for watching. You know what I'm saying? You can check out that. Check out New Girls in Town on Amazon. Check out Capital Wrestling Alliance. Yep. What's the High Heels movie? Like, we just keep it.
High Heels is my favorite. Okay, High Heels is my favorite. Because that one is awesome.
Yeah, man, that was fun to make, and big ups to PJ Polanco for letting me use his content, because I didn't actually interview PJ Polanco. He had that stuff up already, and I sent him a tweet like, yo, can I use this for my movie? He was like, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, but I did interview Booker T about Sherry and all of that. Yeah. But yeah, that's up. You know what I'm saying? We just got content, man. We keep the hits coming, like Bad Boy Records in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Just keep making hits, man.
Thank you for coming on, man. It's always fun. I enjoy these episodes doing them. It really is great, man.
Thank you, man. I got to make it down there to Georgia.
Yes, sir.
come
Yes,
see
sir.
you, man, and come see you guys do
Oh,
your thing
definitely.
down there.
Definitely. Okay, man. You have a great day, and I can't wait to get this out and let other people hear it. Okay?
Thank you.
See you.